Yo, what is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. Today, we're going to be taking a look at the Season X rosters that have just been announced. They all just got announced in the past 2 minutes / 6 hours or whatever, so we're just getting the brand new information. Nothing has been said really too much about play-ins. I don't know when rosters will be released in that. That is what I'm going to be playing in. Safe to say, I can say it now. I'm not in the top 6 teams for the ones that just got auto-qualified. I have to go into play-ins and actually qualify in. I also still cannot tell you what my roster is because that has not been released yet, and Hyres is waiting on that too. But as soon as it's known, maybe I'll toss it in the comment section, let you guys know who I'm playing, or the community section, let you guys know who I'm playing with. But before anything else, let's take a look at the 6 rosters. Let me know what you guys think about it. Who's you guys' favorite going into this year? Who you most excited for? All that good stuff. Just give me some information. Let me know what you guys think. Starting with the first roster, no surprise. Not going to spend too much time on these guys. The Kings are coming back, and they are coming back as the exact same team. They're running it back for SPL X, Yarkor, Genetics, BMT, Twig, Variety, and Biggie. I mean, they played fantastic at the end of the year. They were 8-0. No reason for them not to come back for Season X and try again. So yeah, first team released 11 a.m. was these guys. Next up, the new and improved Levi's. Keeping Shinto, Ronnie, and Zatman, same 3. They are getting rid of Panatom and picking up Adapting, and they are getting rid of Haddix and picking up FineOK. They're also getting rid of Oxy and picking up Slaney. So that is actually 3 of the players changing up. Oxy's actually coached this team for like 4 years or something like that, so it's kind of crazy to see them switch that up. So I'm excited for this team. This team is probably one of the biggest, like, can be really good or can be really bad. It's going to be curious to see how Shinto and Adapting kind of play off of each other. Panatom was always a great teammate for Shinto to have because he kind of gave up a lot of farm to Shinto. This map also does not have a ton of current farm for junglers. So I'm curious to see how Adapting and Shinto play together. I think FineOK has always been one of the best solo laners, so I'm not too worried about him fitting in. And then I think towards the end of last year, actually, Ronnie and Zap did not look all too good in the late games or in the later part of the year. So I'm curious to see if they can keep it up, see how Zap and Ronnie play together. But this team is probably the one to look out for at the beginning to see how they kind of mesh together. Next up, the Jade Dragons have a brand new roster. This is not going to be the Warriors. Well, it's mostly Warriors players, but it's not going to be under the Warrior banner. It's going to be Vote and PBM in the duo lane, Dardes and Laz and Nika in mid jungle solo. This is going to be the core from the Warriors team over the past few years. Vote, Dardes, Nika, and they're picking up Laz and PBM in jungle support. This team could work out really well. It's kind of like do or die time for this Warriors team. Are they really that good in their roles for Vote, Dardes, and Nika? Were Cuvo and Neil kind of holding them back? Or have they kind of just been caught up to? A lot of the other talents in the league is kind of caught up to them, and they're no longer the best at what they do. It's going to be very interesting to see how this team plays together. I think Mike gives them a really good in-game leader, kind of. I think Neil wasn't all too great at that. And then I think Laz is kind of the perfect replacement for Cuvo. Very aggressive early game. I think Laz is a bit more consistent than Cuvo, and Cuvo has just higher highs. But this team was going to be really interesting. I'm curious to see how they do too. Next up is the Highland Ravens. Barracuda, Hurry, Venenu, Scream, and Haddix with mass coaching. This team, to me, doesn't make a ton of sense. I'm really not too high on this team. I know they have a lot of like bigger names. Barra, Ven, Hurry, Scream, and Haddix. They have a lot of big names, but I'm just not too excited to see what this team can do. I think they are going to be a lower end, maybe a mid-tier team. Their dual lane, I think, is a pretty big weakness. I think Hurry's a fine player, but I don't think he's going to be up there with all the top supports, and I think Barra is a more low-end ADC. I also think Ven has some high highs and some very low lows. He can be like a top 4 player in the world, and he also can be like a bottom 2 player in the world. Scream does give him a really good talented jungler that can kind of play the map, play anywhere. Then Haddix also from solo lane can play pretty well. So curious to see how this team's mentals kind of go through the year. It's obviously not that hard to tell that they have some players that do tilt a little bit. So I'm very interested to see what happens with this team, how well they do. Yeah, Highland Ravens. Number 5 is the Titans team. Cyclone is back playing with Aurora. Paul and Sino and Baskin are their other 3 players. This is going to be the Titans from the beginning of last year, but instead of who's their solo or troll, it's going to be Baskin, and instead of Lairs, it's going to be Sino. I think this team will actually do really well. This team, I think had a lot going for themselves last year. I think that they did, however, hit a bunch of speed bumps and they kind of threw them off. And I think that they are a team that if they do start losing a little bit, I think that their mentals may go down the drain also. But I think that they have the talent, they have the good players, they have everything they need for this to be a successful year. And I think this team I'm going to be very, very high on starting out the year. Top 2, top 3 team IMO. And I think that I would not be surprised if they were actually the number 1 team coming out of the gate, because the Kings may have that championship lull. I'm very high on this team. I'm excited to see what they do. The Styx Ferrymen. The last team talked about is the Oni Warriors. I actually think are none of their players the same. Yeah, they actually have none of the same players. Completely new players. Netroid, Jake, Pegon, Panatom, Solo, and Oxy. This team kind of seems to be the strangest one out of the bunch. They kind of have a couple players that have played together, a couple players that are friends, but I didn't really expect a team like this to kind of happen. Pegon, Jake, and Solo are friends outside of the game, so it doesn't make, or it's not too surprising to see them playing together. And then Panatom and Netroid played together on the original Sanguine roster, and they've played together before also, so it's no big surprise with them either. But it kind of seeing them all together seems a bit weird, feels a bit weird. I do think they're going to be a very, very good team. They are a very high team, and they're going to be a very low team. I think it just depends on how consistent they come out, how good they come out, how do they come out swinging, stuff like that, their grasp on the meta. When you have a player like Solo or Troll, you're kind of a 50-50 team where you can be one of the best teams in the league or a very low-end team. But this team is going to be very exciting, and I think that's some of the best things to have is an exciting team. So those are your top 6 teams. We've got play-ins happening in 3 weeks. That's where we will get the final 2 teams. Hires will have that announced probably soonish, I hope. Let me know what you guys think also about these teams kind of changing rosters. Like the Dragons is now just Mike and a bunch of Warriors players. The Titans team is now the Styx Ferrymen, when they're the kind of just Titans players over the past 2 years. The Oni Warriors team is a brand new team. The Bolts are no longer an actual team in this, so it's kind of weird for me. I don't think I'm a big fan of these teams changing names. You kind of had these teams paired with their brands, so I think it feels bad to now have them moved away from those brands, and players that supported those players now have to get kind of new jerseys, even though it's essentially the same team. But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Divisional play happening. Brands are just changing a lot. Point of view streaming for next year. All is going to be really exciting for Season X. But let me know what you guys think about the rosters. Who's your favorite? Who's your surprise? All that good stuff. Let me know what you guys think. I hope you guys have all the rest of your day. See you guys again next time, and peace.